Thank you. Could we kind of come to order here, please, ladies and gentlemen? Uh, Before we begin, I'm pleased to introduce to you my wife, Nancy, and my daughter, Lindy. Nancy's a retired school teacher, and Lindy is an attorney here in Jackson, and they're here visiting with us today. I'm going to get Sam to introduce his spouse.
That does not take much for me. I am proud to introduce my dear, lovely, beautiful, bright, smart wife who's down at the front in her red dress.
I guess I better go back and do that again.
And I'd like to recognize mine somewhere out there in the universe. We haven't
There's somebody for everybody.
I don't know.
I'm really pleased today to introduce our guest to lead us in prayer today, Imad Al-Turk. Imad is the president of Wagner Engineering Firm. Wagner Engineering, as some of you might know, is the second largest engineering firm in the state of Mississippi. Imad and I have been friends for more than 20 years, and he is a very accomplished individual. He has served as president, project team leader, principal in charge of more than $2 billion worth of projects around the state, domestically and internationally. He is a co-founder of the International Museum of Muslim Culture in Jackson, which is the first Islamic history and cultural museum in the United States. Jackson and Mississippi have been very proud of their museums over the last several years. They've been real treasures and real tourist attractions. And I'll tell you, if you have not had a chance to visit this museum here in Jackson, I hope you'll get the opportunity to do that. There are some very rare treasures that cannot be seen anywhere else in the United States. There's a lot of history involved in it. They've now got two exhibitions going on. One of them is at the Old Arts Museum, not Old Arts Museum, the Arts Museum downtown. The other one is at a temporary location, temporary space they've had to lease down on Capitol Street. So I hope you'll have a chance to go look at that. And Imad, please step to the microphone and lead us in prayer.
Good morning, everyone. In the Islamic tradition, I guess we start by saying Assalamu alaikum, which means may God's peace and blessing be with you. Many of you probably are not familiar with Islamic prayers, so I will start with the opening chapter of the Holy Quran. And typically, we do this in Arabic, and then I will translate it to you in English as well. So these are 7 verses that are prayers for God's guidance and stress lordship and mercy of God. So this chapter is recited by Muslims at least 17 times a day in our daily prayers. I will start with this. So I will read it in Arabic, then translate it in English, and then I will have a few supplications from our Islamic tradition. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. The translation: In the name of God, the Lord of mercy, the giver of mercy. Praise belongs to God, Lord of the worlds, the Lord of mercy, the giver of mercy, Master of the day of judgment. It is you we worship. It is you we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those you have blessed, those who incur no anger and who have not gone astray. Amen. O Lord, we ask you that you bless this body as it deliberates the affairs of the Central District. Bless its leaders and staff to do what is right and just. We ask, O Lord, for you to bless Cecil Brand, our retiring commissioner, as he endeavors into private life after a long term of public service. O Lord, we ask you that you bless him and his family and guide him to continue a life of service. O Lord, we ask that you bless and guide our new commissioner and his staff to continue serving the citizens of the Central District in a manner pleasing to you, O God. Our Lord, take us not to task if we forget or fall into error, and lay not upon us a burden greater than we have the strength to bear, and forgive us and have mercy on us. You are our protector, so help us and guide us. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. We'll go straight into, well, before I do that, I want to recognize some folks in the audience. I saw Commissioner-elect Brent Bailey. Where you at, Brent? In the back. I think Commissioner-elect Maxwell. Oh, there he is, in the back. All right. Making sure y'all made it through security for next month. All right, good. Well, thank y'all for being here today, and we certainly look forward to next month with y'all up here. Again, we want to say welcome to Lindy and to Nancy and to Ms. Robin. Thank y'all for being here today. I know we'll probably all three have some remarks at the end of the meeting today, but thank y'all who turned out for our last soiree together. So thank you for coming. All right, we'll move into the consent docket. Item 1 is adoption of the proposed consent docket for December 2019 term of the commission. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the consent docket? Copies have been provided inside the doorway. Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the consent docket as presented? Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Britton. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Energy agenda. Item 1, discussion and possible action regarding proposed order in docket number 2015 UN 109, Spire Energy, Spire, Mississippi Incorporated, notice of Spire, Mississippi Incorporated of the filing of routine changes in rate stabilization adjustment rider 2019 RSA. Ms. Meyer.
Thank you, Chairman. Spire filed its annual rate stabilization adjustment rider on August 30th, presenting the company's verifiable historical data for the 12 months ended June 30th of 2019. The filing indicated an allowed return on equity of 9.73% with an earned return on equity of 7.24%, resulting in a revenue adjustment increase of approximately $363,000. Staff reviewed the company's filing along with numerous data request responses. Staff proposed several adjustments to the company's filed figures. On December 4th, the company and the staff entered into a joint stipulation that decreased rate base by approximately $54,000. In addition to the reduction to rate base, the staff and company agreed that operating expenses should be reduced by approximately $135,000 for expense disallowances. With the reductions in rate base and operating expenses, the total revenue requirement is reduced by approximately $95,000, indicating a need for a revenue adjustment of approximately $267,000. The stipulated revenue adjustment results in a monthly increase of 58 cents in an average residential customer's bill. Staff has thoroughly reviewed the filing and supporting documentation and is satisfied that the results, as stipulated, represent a fair and reasonable revenue requirement. Accordingly, staff recommends approval of the order adopting the joint stipulation.
Thank you, Ms. Meyer. Any questions by the commissioners? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve item 1 is presented. Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Britton. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Item 2, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order in docket number 2018 UN 133, Entergy Mississippi LLC, report of Entergy Mississippi Incorporated on its efforts to modernize customer service offerings and improve system efficiency, new technologies pilot utility-owned backup natural gas-fired generators. Ms. Meyer.
Thank you. On October 31st, 2018, Entergy filed a report of its efforts to modernize customer service offerings and improve system efficiency. One of the options Entergy introduced in the filing was to utilize customer-sited backup generators. On November 16th of 2018, Entergy made its first supplemental filing that outlined plans to offer a utility-owned natural gas-fired backup generator pilot program called New Technologies Pilot. On February 20th of this year, Entergy made a second supplemental filing that provided a customer agreement to be executed for the pilot. The pilot will be offered to qualifying commercial customers. Entergy plans to install up to 20 backup generators over a 3-year period on customer-owned property. The generators will be available to the customer to serve their power needs during an outage, but would also be available to Entergy during times of peak demand. Through the pilot, Entergy will gain valuable experience in terms of what technologies work well, clarity on the grid value of equipment, and whether the cost-sharing proportions work as intended. The proposed budget for the pilot is $3.5 million. Participating customers will be responsible for paying for 45% of the installation cost of the equipment, offset by the grid value provided by the asset via a fixed monthly charge that will be included in the customer agreement. The monthly charge will also include a percentage of the operation and maintenance cost of the equipment. The customer agreement has a term of 20 years, same as the life of the generator, that begins when the equipment is ready for service. Staff has reviewed the filing and supporting documentation and Entergy's data responses. Interested parties were noticed and there were no interveners. As part of the filing, Entergy is proposing revisions to the company's service policy that incorporate the pricing formula for the backup generator installations consistent with this pilot. Staff has reviewed the changes and has no objections to the requested changes. Staff recommends approval of the New Technologies pilot and changes to the customer service policy.
All right, thank you. I got one comment. Any questions from the commissioners? All right, seeing none, I'd just like to move an amendment to the order, unless there's objection by the commissioners, that the company in this endeavor follow the Higher Mississippi guidelines. My understanding is they're going to purchase 20 generators and installation, and it'd be a shame and a disgrace if that work went outside the state of Mississippi that we're spending on a pilot project, if in fact we can keep that within our HVAC and other contractors within the state. So I just make that as an amendment to the order that they strictly follow the Higher Mississippi rule, and that'll be a part of their reporting in Higher Mississippi next year. Any objection to that?
Would not they already have to follow?
Well, this in the procurement of the generators may be a part of it. It's not. It doesn't cover the product as much as the contract. Just to be clear, but since there's a product being purchased,
Right.
rather than just a construction contract. All right, do we have a motion to approve the order with that amendment? Motion by Commissioner Brown, we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Britton. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Item 3, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order in docket 2018 UN 205, Entergy Mississippi LLC, notice of intent of Entergy LLC to implement revisions to the formula rate plan FRP 7. Ms. Meyer.
Thank you. On October 12th of 2018, Entergy filed a notice of intent to revise its formula rate plan. The purpose of the filing was to amend the effective schedule FRP 6 to allow interim capacity rate adjustments to recover the annual non-fuel related cost of additional capacity acquired by the company. The company proposed that its current FRP be replaced with schedule FRP 7 that will enable the company to propose recovery of capacity purchases through the FRP in a manner consistent with the recovery allowed for prior plant acquisitions, with a more timely transition of the cost into the company's base rates. Entergy's present rate structure and its FRP currently do not provide a mechanism for the immediate recovery of the annual capacity cost of the Choctaw facility after closing. The proposed FRP 7 will allow interim capacity rate adjustments for the annual capacity cost in a manner that's consistent with the rationale behind the Commission's approval of the Hines and Natala cost recovery through the power management rider, but that also retains cost recovery through Entergy's base rates rather than a separate exact cost recovery rider schedule. On October 1st, 2019, the company issued an order, or the Commission issued an order in docket 2018 UA 204 authorizing Entergy to acquire the Choctaw facility and ordered the staff and Entergy to work to implement revisions to the company's FRP to allow the company to recover the additional capacity cost of the Choctaw facility, upon its acquisition, closing, and in-service date, and to present such revisions to the commissions for the commission's consideration in December of 2019. On December 9th, staff and the company entered into a joint stipulation that provides for changes to the company's FRP to implement the following: an interim capacity rate adjustment mechanism for the recovery of the Choctaw facility and other capacity purchases that meet certain criteria, changes to the FRP that would allow the company to put temporary rates in effect under bond to provide timely cost recovery for the company and rate stability for customers, and allows for the company to implement a vegetation management rider as allowed under Commission Rule 29. The company will make a compliance filing by December 18th, which shall implement the stipulations provided in the joint stipulation, and which shall include the interim capacity rate adjustment for the Choctaw facility to be implemented for bills rendered on or after January 2nd of 2020. Staff has reviewed the company's filing. There are no interveners. Staff believes the joint stipulation complies with the Commission's October 1st, 2019 order and provides the company fair cost recovery for the Choctaw facility and promotes rate stability for ratepayers. Staff recommends approval of the joint stipulation.
Thank you, Ms. Myrick. Any questions on item 3? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve item 3 is presented? Motion by Commissioner Brown. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Britton. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Item 4, there may be a discrepancy on those of you who are in the audience agenda. This is docket number 2019-129. 129, it may say 029 or something different on yours, but it's 129. 129. Item 4, discussion and possible action regarding proposed order in docket number 2019 UN 129, Cooperative Energy and Delta EPA, joint petition of Cooperative and Delta EPA for a certificate of public convenience and necessity, authorizing them to acquire, construct, own, and operate electrical transmission line, switching station, and substation facilities in LaFleur and Sunflower County. Ms. Meyer.
Thank you. On August 20th, Cooperative Energy and Delta Electric Power Association filed a joint petition for a certificate of public convenience and necessity authorizing the petitioners to acquire the necessary sites and rights-of-way for Cooperative Energy to construct 2 115 kV electrical transmission lines and switching station in LaFleur and Sunflower counties, and for Delta to construct a substation facility in LaFleur County. The project is necessary to improve reliability and quality of power to LaFleur and Sunflower areas. The Delta substation, also known as the half-mile substation, will provide sufficient capacity that will relieve load growth and improve reliability and quality of service to customers in the West LaFleur County area. Cooperative Energy and Delta will need to acquire rights-of-way for the proposed transmission lines, switching station, and substation facilities. Cooperative Energy's project is expected to begin construction in August of 2020 with the estimated in-service date of December of 2021. Delta's project is expected to begin construction in June of 2020 with the estimated in-service date of December of 2020. The Cooperative Energy project is estimated to cost $3.38 million for the Evans to half-mile transmission line, $5.46 million for the half-mile to Itabena transmission line, and $2.29 million for the Itabena switching station, for a total of $11.13 million. Delta's estimated cost for the half-mile substation was originally $3.1 million, but was updated in an amended joint petition to $4.325 million. One interested party was identified and noticed. One school and one church are located in the immediate vicinity of the proposed facilities. They have both been notified and no interventions have been filed with the Commission. The petitioners have requested a waiver of the requirements to file a complete set of engineering plans and specifications because completed plans and specs do not presently exist. Staff does not object to the Commission granting a temporary waiver of plans and specs. Staff has reviewed the filing, issued data requests, and reviewed the responses. Staff's review of the filing is complete. The cost estimates of the project appear to be reasonable. The staff recommends approval of the project and the temporary waiver of the company filing plans and specifications, contingent upon the company filing its plans and specs with the staff once complete, but before construction on the project begins.
All right, thank you. One question, why are we not having a hearing on it?
Transmission facilities usually don't require hearing.
But we're doing a substation, right?
Right.
So we're not, it's been our practice that we do those in the past.
Substations do not require a hearing, that'd be distribution.
Well, they've required them for 12 years.
Generation has a specific statute requiring hearings, but in
Well,
this
let's
event,
just hold this till next month. I don't agree with that because that's not been how it's been handled in the past. And I represent those constituents, and there are always issues with landowners, and the statute provides, and we have a memo from the staff from a decade ago from George Fleming and we've held hearings on substations in every one since I've been here for 12 years. And the memo from the staff says that there's a generation and transmission component to that, and therefore hearings required. And I mean, this is going in mostly in my district, and I want to make sure those landowners at least know what's going on. I know I've held 20 of them since I've been, so I just ask we move that till we get that. I mean, we've got one set for Tippah County coming up, so let's just hold that off there, and we can revisit that in January. I don't want to deprive those landowners of a chance to have a hearing. All right, item 5, discussion and possible action regarding proposed order docket 2019 UA 133, Entergy Mississippi LLC, petition by Entergy for a CPCN to make reliability improvements and to modernize its transmission and distribution infrastructure and support economic development in Warren County. Ms. Meyer.
Thank you, Commissioner. On August 28th, Entergy filed a petition for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to make reliability improvements and to modernize its transmission infrastructure in Warren County. Entergy proposes to construct 2 new 115 kV transmission lines into the existing Flowers substation, thereby expanding and upgrading the substation. And Entergy plans to construct and rebuild portions of the existing distribution lines and other related facilities. The proposed facilities designed to address reliability and load serving capability needs in the west central portion of Entergy's service territory along the Beach Grove to Yazoo City Municipal Station and the North Vicksburg 115 kV 3-terminal line, which has approximately 4,000 customers over 58 miles between transmission breakers, while also increasing transmission load serving capabilities to the industrial park in the area. At this point in the project, the company is unsure if eminent domain proceedings will be required. Right-of-way acquisitions are required for the transmission line routes. Landowners on the transmission route have been notified by the company. No interventions have been filed. The project is currently planned with an in-service date of June 2021. The total estimated cost of the proposed facilities is approximately $37 million. Entergy estimates that the revenue requirements associated with the proposed facilities would result in an approximately 49-cent rate impact on a typical residential customer's bill. Staff has reviewed the filing, its supporting documentation, and Entergy's data responses. Interested parties were noticed, and there are no interveners. Entergy has requested a waiver of filing its plans and specifications for the facility because they're not yet complete. Staff recommends that the waiver be granted contingent upon Entergy submitting the required information to staff once complete. Staff recommends approval.
All right, thank you, Ms. Meyer. Any questions on item 6? Here none, do we have a motion to approve item 6 is presented? Motion second by, 5, I'm sorry. Sorry, I jumped ahead of myself. Item 5, Entergy 19 UA 133. My apologies. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Now we'll move to item 6. Discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order in docket 2019 UA 139, Mississippi Power Company petition of Mississippi Power Company for a CPCN authorizing the acquisition, construction, operation of transmission and related facilities and rights of way in Jasper and Clark counties. Ms. Meyer.
Thank you. On August 28th, Mississippi Power filed a petition requesting a certificate of public convenience and necessity to construct approximately 14.2 miles of transmission facilities on the Laurel North Pachuta 115 kV transmission line. During routine planning activities, the company identified the upgrades were necessary to the transmission facilities due to potential capacity constraints and age and deterioration of the equipment. The identified facilities were initially built in 1926, and the company has determined that upgrades are necessary to provide reliability to the transmission system in the area and to comply with NERC requirements. Final design for the project will begin once a certificate is obtained. Construction of the project is expected to be completed in 2020. The total estimated cost of the project is approximately $13.8 million. Transmission investments are recovered through the company's PEP rider. A high-level estimate of the impact on the average residential bill would be an increase of approximately 13 cents. Staff has reviewed the filing, issued data requests, and reviewed responses. Interested parties were noticed by the company, and there are no interveners. The cost estimate for the project was reviewed for reasonableness, and no issues were noted. Plans and specifications were not provided for the project because they are not yet complete. The company has requested a waiver of this filing requirement, and staff does not object to the commission granting the waiver. And staff recommends approval of the order granting the waiver and approval of the project.
All right, thank you, Ms. Myrick. Any questions on item 6? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve item 6 is presented? Motion by Commissioner Brown, do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Britton. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Item 7, discussion and possible action regarding proposed order in docket 2019 UA 148 CenterPoint Energy, application of CenterPoint Energy, DBA CenterPoint Energy Mississippi Gas for approval of the Fourth Amendment to its asset management agreement with BP Energy. Ms. Meyer.
Thank you. On September 13th, CenterPoint filed an application seeking approval to extend its asset management agreement. The current AMA is to expire on March 30th of 2020. And CenterPoint and BP entered into a fourth amendment to the AMA on August 15th, for which CenterPoint is requesting approval in this docket. The Fourth Amendment provides benefits to CenterPoint's customers through its continued monthly payments from BP in future years. Amounts received by CenterPoint are shared with the CenterPoint's customers, with customers receiving 55% of the benefit through CenterPoint's PGA and CenterPoint receiving the remaining 45%. Had BP and CenterPoint not chosen to negotiate an extension of the agreement, then BP's monthly payments would have ended. The extension has allowed the parties to negotiate new monthly payments with the full knowledge of the existing market. Staff has reviewed CenterPoint's proposed Fourth Amendment to its AMA along with supporting documentation from data responses, and based on historical performance of the AMA, staff believes that a 3-year extension is reasonable. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Ms. Myrick. Do we have a motion on item 7 to approve it as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Britton, second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Item 8, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order in docket 2019 UA 156, CenterPoint Energy Mississippi Gas, application of CenterPoint Energy Mississippi, and CenterPoint Energy Resources Corporation, DBA CenterPoint Energy Mississippi, for approval of special contract with Texaco Natural Gas. Ms. Meyer.
Thank you. CenterPoint filed a notice of intent seeking approval of a special contract with Texaco Natural Gas Company for the provision of natural gas transportation service to the manufacturing facilities of Howard Industries, located in Laurel. The contract period will be for 1 year, beginning September 1st of 2019 and ending August 31st, 2020. The proposed amendment for the natural gas transportation service qualifies as a special contract pursuant to Mississippi Code Section 77335 and Commission Rule 27 of the Public Utilities Rules of Practice and Procedure. Howard Industries is currently a transportation-only customer of CenterPoint and is billed under rate schedule MT3, approved by the Commission. In June of 2019, CenterPoint was approached by Howard Industries and Texaco requesting that CenterPoint provide rate discounts and increase the pressure on their system. Howard Industries also notified CenterPoint that it was looking at options to bypass CenterPoint for its entire gas load. CenterPoint evaluated the pressure on its system and determined that it could increase pressure to Howard Industries with upgrades to certain natural gas regulators. No additional infrastructure investments would be required to supply the pressure. CenterPoint entered into negotiations with Howard Industries and Texaco to determine if it could retain the customer. After months of negotiations, CenterPoint and Texaco entered into a special contract that allows CenterPoint to retain Howard Industries' transportation service requirements. Retaining the customer avoids the loss of revenue that would occur if the customer bypassed the company and the subsequent stranded costs that would be borne by the company's remaining customers. After reviewing the filing and supporting documentation, staff has confirmed that the contract meets the requirements of a special contract, including that it recovers sufficient revenues to meet CenterPoint's incremental cost of service to Howard Industries, that it contains a competitive price to retain the customer, and that the revenues received by CenterPoint from the contract will provide a contribution margin above its incremental cost of service over the life of the contract, which benefits CenterPoint's other retail customers. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Ms. Meyer. Any questions on item 8? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve item 8 as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Britton, second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Item 9, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order in docket 2019 UA 195, South Cross, Mississippi Industrial Gas Sales, application of South Cross, Mississippi Industrial Gas, South Cross Energy Partners, South Cross Energy Partners GP, Magnolia Infrastructure Holdings LLC, Third Coast Mississippi, Third Coast Midstream Holdings, and Third Coast Midstream LLC for approval of asset purchase agreement and transfer of assets described. I assume that's Ms. Meyer.
Yes, sir. Thank you. On November 1st, South Cross Mississippi Industrial Gas Sales and its affiliated entities filed for approval of an asset purchase agreement and transfer of assets. Specifically, the applicants are seeking the Commission's approval of the transfer of the Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity to 3CM Mississippi to operate the facilities, and approval of the transfer of the ownership interest of 3CM Mississippi from Third Coast Midstream Holdings to Third Coast Midstream without having to file a separate subsequent application for approval upon the condition that the Commission is notified of such transfer. South Cross Entities owns approximately 13 miles of 6-inch pipeline facilities in Forest and Perry counties and a related Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity. South Cross will convey certain assets located in Mississippi to 3CM Mississippi upon the closing of the transaction. South Cross serves only one customer, Leaf River Cellulose, pursuant to a transportation contract. By order dated April 10th, 2018, in docket 2018 UA6, the Commission approved an agreement and plan of merger dated as of October 31st of 2017 between South Cross Entities and Amid American Midstream GP and Cherokee Merger Sub. After the date of the order, the merger failed to go through. Instead, on April 1st, 2019, South Cross filed for voluntary Chapter 11 bankruptcy. South Cross then entered into an asset purchase agreement with Magnolia Infrastructure Holdings, dated as of September 11th, 2019. Pursuant to the terms of the asset purchase agreement, Magnolia Infrastructure Holdings is entitled to designate one or more subsidiaries to purchase the assets of South Cross, including the facilities in Forest and Perry counties. Prior to the closing of the transaction, Magnolia Infrastructure Holdings will designate 3CM Mississippi to purchase and own the assets located in Mississippi, including South Cross Mississippi Industrial Gas Sales Facilities, its CPCN, and the transportation contract. The closing of the asset purchase agreement and transfer of the asset is subject to approval by the United States Bankruptcy Court. On October 23rd, the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the District of Delaware entered an order approving the sale of the assets. The closing of the asset purchase agreement and transfer of the assets is also subject to approval by the Alabama Public Service Commission, and approval is expected this month. Staff has reviewed the company's filing, including the exhibits, the pre-filed testimony, and the data request responses. There are no interveners, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Meyer. Any questions on item 9? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve item 9 as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Britton. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Telecommunications agenda item 1, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order, docket number 2019 UA 157 X-Phone USA, joint petition of NTS Communications LLC and X-Phone USA LLC for approval of a pro forma consolidation and the resulting transfer of the certificates of public convenience and necessity to X-Phone USA LLC from USA LLC to NTS Communications LLC. Ms. Stenmark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This petition was filed for a pro forma consolidation of Xphone into NTS Communications and the transfer of Xphone's certificates of public convenience and necessity to NTS Com. Xphone was authorized to provide intrastate local exchange services, long-distance inter-exchange services, and broadband services in docket number 2000 UA 535, and was authorized to provide facilities-based local exchange services in docket 2001 UA 285. This transaction is part of a series of intra-company transactions that will simplify the indirect corporate structure of the petitioners. The proposed changes will have no adverse impact to the customers and should be transparent to customers. NTS Communications will continue to provide service to Xphone's customers without interruption at the same rates, terms, and conditions as governed by existing contracts and under the same trade name. The consolidation of Xphone into NTS is considered a pro forma transaction by the FCC that does not require prior approval. Instead, a notification will be submitted within 30 days of completion of the transaction. A consummation notice will also be provided to the Commission following the close of the transaction. The proposed transaction appears to be in the public interest, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions on item 1? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve item 1 is presented? Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Britton. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Nothing on water and sewer. Administrative agenda, item 1, the minutes of the November 2019 term of the commission. Those have been distributed. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Motion by Commissioner Britton, second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Item 2, discussion and possible action regarding proposed order in docket 1963 UA 844 Mississippi River Gas, petition to amend CPCN order referring the docket to Stephanie Taylor as hearing examiner for hearing report and recommendation. Ms. Taylor.
Commissioners, this is connected with a couple of the dockets for Mississippi River Gas that I've been already appointed as a hearing examiner in, and some orders have been entered there. Since December 14th of 2017, MRG's has provided exclusively propane air mix services instead of natural gas. This is, and I entered in, what was that was docket 2017 UA 196, a temporary order allowing them to amend their certificate to provide that service. This is just making that permanent in the original docket. So it's just to set that up so I can clean that up. And just
All right. Do you have any questions on item 2? No. Have a motion to approve item 2 is presented.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Britton. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Item 3, docket number 2016 UA 134, Call Catchers Incorporated, DBA Freedom Voice Systems, order canceling CPCN. Ms. Taylor.
Thank you, Chairman. This is an order canceling the certificate of public convenience and necessity. It's come before the commission on the informal application of Freedom Voice, requesting the cancellation of their CPCN. Due and proper notice, the proceeding was given in the manner and for the time prescribed by law. There's not been any protest, objection, or intervention. Freedom Voice wants to give up their CPCN due to its operational integration with GoDaddy.com LLC. GoDaddy already holds a CPCN issued by the commission in docket 2016 UA 160 to provide resold inter-exchange telecommunications services within the state of Mississippi. All of Freedom Voice's assets and operations have been assigned to GoDaddy. GoDaddy has filed and continues to file regulatory reports and remit regulatory fees in association with its CPCN issued by the commission in docket 2016 UA 160. Freedom Voice represents the commission that the cancellation will have no impact on its customer service. In order to promote efficiency and eliminate redundancy of fees and reportings, it's my recommendation that we cancel the CPCN of Freedom Voice.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions on item 3? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve item 3 as presented. Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Britton. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Item 4, discussion and possible action regarding proposed order in docket number 2019-8216, Piney Woods Country Life School, entry of show cause order. Ms. Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you may recall, on November 22nd at the special meeting, the commission opened a docket, an investigation docket,
to look into certain pipeline safety violations and compliance issues that had been identified at the Piney Woods School. As part of that order, the commission also required Piney Woods to submit an action plan within 15 days, identifying or explaining the violations and addressing how they would remedy them. The Pipeline Safety Division received a response from Piney Woods on December 6th with certain documentation. However, they failed to address the reasoning or provide an action plan for resolving the issues. And in addition, Mr. Cotton responded in writing on the 9th earlier this week, noting that all of the issues are still outstanding. So for that reason, we have prepared a show cause order requiring Piney Woods to appear before the commission and show cause on December 6th of 2020.
All right, and the next item is appointing Mr. Farmer as a hearing examiner in that docket, so we can just take those all together unless anybody
right.
cares to take them separately. Okay, those are both the same docket. Do we have a motion to approve items 4 and 5? Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Britton. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Item 6, docket 2019 NC 66, Mississippi Public Service Commission versus Subscription, Inc. Company, order imposing civil penalty by default. Ms. Bennett.
Thank you, Commissioner. This action under the Mississippi Telephone Solicitation Act was commenced on May 6, 2019. Proper service was had on the defendants. The defendants have failed to properly respond to the complaint, and a sufficient amount of time has passed to warrant the imposition of civil penalty by default. In all, the complaint alleged 24 violations of the Mississippi Telephone Solicitation Act, and the proposed order details each violation. The motion before the commission is that the maximum penalty allowed by law be imposed for each violation for a total of $120,000.
Thank you, Ms. Bennett. Any questions on item 6? Here none, do we have a motion to approve item 6 as presented?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Britton. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Item 7, 2019 NC 167, Mississippi Public Service Commission versus Long Distance Gurus, LLC. Ms. Bennett.
Thank you, Commissioner. This action was commenced on October 1st, 2019. Proper service has been had on the defendants. The defendants failed to respond to the complaint, and a sufficient amount of time has passed to warrant the imposition of civil penalty by default. In all, the complaint alleged 23 violations of the Mississippi Telephone Solicitation Act, and the proposed order details each violation. The motion before the commission is that the maximum penalty allowed by law be imposed for each violation for a total of $115,000.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bennett. Any questions on item 7? Here none, do we have a motion to approve item 7 as presented? Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Britton. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Before we get to, is there anything else we don't have on the agenda that needs to be added? All right, before we get to closing comments, because this will be the last meeting of this commission together, a couple of announcements. Tomorrow, Mississippi 811 will be holding their open house and ribbon cutting for the new 811 building at 200 Country Place Parkway in Pearl. We've got the addresses for all that if anybody's interested in coming. I know that we've worked hard to get the legislation working with the 811 consortium to finally get the call before you dig law in with enforcement capabilities for Mr. Cotton and the Pipeline Safety Division to do that, and I think it's working out well and helping our state. And so that ribbon cutting is tomorrow morning at, I guess, assume you're going to cut the ribbon at 10 and reception from 10 to 1 for an open house, and you're more than welcome to be there. Who wants to go first? If you want to say anything, I don't matter to me.
Hello. This is our last meeting, and I just want to thank my fellow commissioners, 2 commissioners, for their kindness and their friendship and their professionalism over the last 4 years. I think the commission has done its job. That's what we're here to do, and I've enjoyed working with the 2 of you, and I appreciate the good comradeship. Unfortunately, we can't. This is the only time we can talk to each other is when we're up here without having. This is an open meeting, but otherwise we don't get to spend a lot of time together. But thank you. Your staffs have been very professional. I want to thank our staff, the general staff, Ms. Collier's staff, for all their hard work. They are truly professional. They work hard. They're very smart, and they do their job very well. I want to thank my Central District staff for their friendship and their hard work over the last 4 years. We've had a great team, and I've enjoyed working with them, and we'll miss miss coming in every day and hear all the laughter and conversation that goes on in our office. Certainly want to thank the public utilities staff for their professionalism and their hard work. They have been incredible support and advisors to us over the last 4 years in terms of how we can do our jobs, and I feel very comfortable relying on their advice and things that they recommend to us in all the meetings and time we've been able to spend together. And thank all of you out in the audience. Thank you for coming here. Appreciate it. It's always interesting to see who shows up for these meetings, and sometimes smiles, sometimes frowns, sometimes laughter, sometimes a few tears, I guess, out there. But I do appreciate it. I've enjoyed working with all the utility companies and their representatives and sometimes even their lobbyists. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. And it has been an interesting trip the last 4 years. Does this mean I got to leave? Is this, okay. Well,
That's up to you and Brent.
well, Brent and I spent a lot of time together the last few days. We don't have an open meetings problem between the two of us. It's been great. I know that Brent's going to do a great job. I've gotten to know Brent over the last 4 years and enjoyed our relationship. And the last few weeks, we've been able to spend some time together. And I know that he's going to have, you guys, the three of you guys are going to have hopefully the same kind of relationship the three of us have had. So thank you all very much, and I will see you later.
You know, I can echo those thoughts, and at this time being the final meeting, of course, you look back and you think back over these past 4 years, and this is my first time in office versus my two compadres here have been in office for quite a while. And Mississippi Power, when I came here, the biggest issue we had before us was Kemper. It is so difficult to overstate that because being from the Southern District, that's what the entire thing was about. And today, that Kemper issue is ancient history. And that thing had been going on for close to 10 years. And when I took office, there was such issues with it. People were so emotional to the point of possibly even getting physical. I can remember one time on the coast when I was there at an event, and this gentleman followed me out after the meeting, and he was so upset about it. And he was beating on his hands about what you guys ought to do about that Kemper issue. And then all of a sudden, he started getting very nervous, and he started fishing around in his coat pockets, and I could tell he was really getting, quite honestly, I looked and I thought, are we going to fight? And I turned around and looked, and we were down at the edge of the parking lot, and I looked back, and everybody was gone. And then I had thoughts of congressmen and situations where they had been shot. And this guy was so visibly upset, and I looked at him, and I finally realized he pulled out of his pocket cigarettes. He was just that emotionally upset. So it is difficult to look back now, 4 years ago, just 4 years ago, and talk about how intense that issue was. I truly changed how I went to events and how I left events. I kept it very low-key and did not tell people. But the further south in this state that you go 4 years ago, the hotter the Kemper issue got. And this commission addressed that issue, I believe, very professionally. Not one person did it, but this entire group. And we moved forward. And now when you talk Kemper, it's almost something ancient in the past. And I can remember even near the end of it, people talked about you may come to a conclusion, but you'll have lawsuits for years. There are no Kemper lawsuits. It is resolved. Not everybody is happy, but we took a very difficult situation and we resolved it. And what that is a testimony to is all the people in this room, and also the fact that government can get things accomplished and move forward. Now, I believe we live in absolutely the greatest country in the world. And you sit here and you look at the Public Service Commission, we deal with that. We make that part of what makes America great. It's the infrastructure for a large part of what we deal with. And we address the issues. What is an adage about sausage making? People may like sausage, but they don't want to see how it's made. Well, in this room and the people here, we deal with complex issues, and you deal with money because somebody's got to pay for it, and it is handled professionally. So, you know, this group in here deserves so much credit. And I tell you what, it's been an honor and a pleasure for me to serve here because, God blesses us with opportunities, and I believe I was blessed with the opportunity to be here and to work with the people in this room. And there's so many people would love to call out with comments, but the utilities and their representatives, they're such a vital part. And the staff, my goodness, we couldn't do the job without you guys. And you have done an outstanding job. And even the individual Public Service Commission staff, there's so many roles and so many hats that you have to play. But I also want to take this time and thank my two fellow commissioners. Now, while we say there's a lot of not Republican or Democrat or parties in this room, the fact of the matter is that does exist. But I want to thank you two because you could have very easily have frozen me out on decisions and just done and not even given me the opportunity to even speak up here. But you have given me the opportunity to speak. We haven't always agreed, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think we should always agree, but you have given me the opportunity to speak and give my point of view just as you guys have. And I think that's something that's also part of what has made this commission for the last 4 years a very good commission. So I want to thank you, Cecil Brown, and I want to thank you, Mr. Presley, for what you have done because you have done professionally in your dealings with me, and I greatly appreciate that. And of course, I've asked many of you, you've heard me when I've asked, do you have any words of wisdom? Yes, many of you have been asked that question. And what I have found, it is amazing the responses you get. Some are lighthearted, but it also has deeper meaning. I've even asked Sam with the utility staff, and he even had some cute comments, believe it or not. He's coming out of his shell. But when I think words of wisdom, because you try and learn and grow and do better in life as you go, because in life, growth is optional. You do not have to grow. But my words of wisdom, when I think, is one should always be growing, looking and have a purpose or a goal. And it should be one large enough that will excite you. And you should have a big enough why. Because if you've got a big enough why and you've got a goal and a purpose that's exciting, then you're going to have a life that is very full and rewarding. I think it was Teddy Roosevelt did a speech, and he talked about how it's not the critic that counts or how someone criticizes, but basically it's the people that's actually in the arena who's striving to fight the battle for a great cause. And when they do that, they know success, and they also know failure. But at least they're not like those timid few people that never step out, that never risk something. They will never know the success and joy of achieving something. And they'll never know the failure. But so many of you in this room, you don't fall in that category or you wouldn't be in this room. Many of you have done. So as I come down, I've had a lot of thoughts about this period, but I finally come to one of total gratitude. With my life, I have had success and I have had failure. But in the last bit, a sincere bit of gratitude. And I am so fortunate. Of course, I praise my dear, lovely, beautiful wife. I would call her sexy, but she'd get mad at me. But I am so fortunate in so many different ways. And that's what I hope for each and every one of you here, is that you have a purpose or a goal or something that excites you, that gets you up to go in life. Because if you have that, your life will be full. So with that, as I close my remarks, I just want to thank you, because I see every face that I see out of here. Most of you have a memory or something attached to it, and I believe this commission has really done good work, and quite honestly, that means each and every one of you in this room. So with that, I bid you a day, and thank you very much.
Well, let me say thank y'all to Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Britton. It's hard to believe at my young age of 42, I've been here 12 years. And I can say with all sincerity and not reflecting on anyone in prior office in any other way, it's a different set of circumstances, different issues, that I think we've had the most professional, collegial working relationship that could have ever existed at this agency. we're going to outdo this commission next year. But it's been wonderful working with y'all. It's one thing to have a professional relationship. That's easy to a certain degree. But it's another thing to have a collegial, personal relationship with the commissioners and with your staffs, because that's who really, most of the time, are working together on so many things. And I just can't tell you how much I appreciate just what all y'all stood for. You know, you brought up Kemper. You know, we saved the ratepayers of the state $7 billion. Don't let that thought slip out when you walk out of your offices on the last day. The largest utility write-off that I know of in the Southeast, and it was done because we were hell-bent to make sure that the public was protected. And I think that signal went out pretty quick, working with the staff and with the company to get this issue behind us. And as Commissioner Britton pointed out, you know, we're not dealing with lawsuits on that anymore. That's what government is supposed to do. Take on issues, solve them, fix them, and move on. And that would not have gotten done, gentlemen, without y'all. I mean that sincerely. Y'all are two CPAs, and I'm a dirt road politician. So y'all taught me a lot.
You got to bragging.
No, y'all are. And you know, that means a ton. It means a ton. And the state of Mississippi has been served extremely, extremely well. I'm having Keisha's counting them up, but I think I'm going to be close on what I'm about to say. I think we have voted on close to 1,000 different items in the last 4 years, of which less than 10 have not been unanimous. That is a testament to good government. That's what the folks expect out of us, and they expect out of all branches. They don't necessarily get it all the time, but here I think we have set an example of how you can work together and how all sides can be respected and full seats at the table, and you get to a consensus that everybody works on. And at the end of the day, that's not about Cecil Brown or Brandon Presley or Sam Britton. It's about the people that are paying our salary, that are paying people's salary. Those of you sitting in that audience, the people that are paying power and gas bills that pay your salary, expect us to do that. And those are the people that are the most underrepresented folks out there. And these two gentlemen have been shining examples about how to do that and how to do it in a professional manner that makes government work. And that don't happen every day. And that doesn't happen in every venue in the country. But it's happened here, and it's a testament to y'all's character as people, your professionalism, your character as public servants. Not one hint of controversy, not one hint of ethical questions. I mean, this has been an agency that's been totally on top of the table, totally on top of the board. When criticisms fly in other places, we have gone above and beyond that because of the testament of y'all. And I just, you know, it's one thing to run out and get elected. That's sometimes the easy part. The other part's trying to keep it between the ditches for 4 years and actually move the car down the road. And you can't do that without good public servants. You can't do that without honest commissioners. And I'm so pleased with the two new commissioners we got coming in whose bedrock is honesty. You know, that is you can disagree all day long on politics and policy, but if you're starting from a position of we're going to try to work together, and y'all have done that from the very beginning, and I personally appreciate that, and I appreciate your tenacity on it. I look back on this and I think about the things that we've been able to create that have served people in all 82 counties of the state, and these gentlemen get credit for that. You know, they get credit for that. $7 billion saved to the ratepayers by solving the Kemper County Power Plant issue. We created the first supplemental growth plans that have brought natural gas pipelines to economic development anywhere in the country. Kyle Rogers here used to be with AGA. AGA talked all around the United States about the model that Mississippi created because of these gentlemen. That has brought true value to industrial areas. Rural growth. I think this year we're on track for around 1,400 houses because of these gentlemen, because of their work, because of their support for their constituents, that is going to bring that access to folks who otherwise wouldn't have it. That ain't going on in every commission in the United States of America. And it's been because of enlightened, visionary leadership of Sam Britton and Cecil Brown, who came to work every day saying, what can we do to leave this state better than what we found it? What can we do to improve the lives of real people? There are warm bodies behind the cold numbers that we see come across this desk. And there are people out there that depend on us. And these gentlemen have taken their time, their effort, and their sweat to make sure that we did the right thing and we made good decisions and we tried our best to have the facts. And I keep saying that because, I mean, Eric Clark, you've been in politics 400 years. It's not always the case, right? He looks good for 418. But it's not always the case. And you don't have to believe me. Pick up your paper. Go on the internet. It's exceptional to be able to find ways in which to get things done. One of the key things when we passed the broadband bill that helped that happen was a unanimous resolution by this commission after studying this issue to do that. And as of today, we've guaranteed access to 152,350 houses, businesses, and industries in the state because of that. That wouldn't happen without these two gentlemen. I mean, things like that don't work, and they don't happen without leadership. And so I could ramble on, except to say thank y'all personally. This isn't Brandon Presley as a commissioner. This is me personally. I appreciate both of you, and I appreciate the collegial atmosphere that we've had here, and having seen many issues that come apart, and we've been able, I think, thanks to y'all, dang sure ain't been because thanks to me, thanks to y'all for your diligence and your leadership. You have served your constituents well, and we all thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Good job. Thank you. Good job. I want to say one more thing. Yeah.
Does that mean I get the gavel out of here?
You can do it, don't you? Cecil said he's got one more thing. He's going to earn that 13th check real good.
I am looking forward to that, I can tell you. I can't let this go after listening to that. Brandon Presley, certainly in my case, gave us too much credit. I got to tell you that, he's been the chairman all 4 years, which has not always been the case, and there's a reason for that. We could have kicked him out. Sam and I could have gotten together and said, we want to rotate this. We want to be chairman.
Now, why didn't we do that?
Well, good question. I didn't know we could till last night. Actually, we could have done that at any time, but we didn't do that. When we got here, he had 8 years' experience. He was 12 years old when he started, and he's had 8 years' experience as a commissioner and had been chairman, and it seemed logical. And we didn't see any reason to change. I mean, he's been a great chairman. He has led us in a way we needed to go. The chairmanship is not just presiding at these meetings. It's not just presiding. There are lots of things that go on day to day. Brandon's on the cell phone all night long and early in the morning talking to the staff. Right, Catherine? Frank, he's on the cell phone sending text messages and showing leadership in a way that needs to happen. He's sort of left us alone, except on major issues, to do our own things in our own districts. So we've been able to spend time in our districts, focusing on our constituents, while he's had to deal with the bulk, the majority of the administrative stuff and all the decisions that have to be made on that level and all the time-consuming things he's had to do. And I tell people all the time, Brandon, you just bubble ideas. We pop some of those bubbles, but a lot of those bubbles, I mean, I have
1,000 ideas. One is occasionally good.
No, I mean, the broadband thing was your idea. The supplemental growth for gas was your idea. Those kinds of things have come from Brandon Presley. We voted for them. We liked them. We voted for them unanimously. We helped maybe craft some of the language and some of those things, but the ideas came from this man right here. And I told Haley Fisackley one time he has 100 good ideas, about 90 of them aren't worth a flip, and 10 of them are great. I'm kidding you. So I hope you'll listen to him when he makes a speech or has a town hall meeting or he has an event. where he talks about things about the future, which is what he talks about, not the past. Talks about the future. How can we make things better for the people we serve? We're elected officials, and we run within a district, but each one of us works for the whole state of Mississippi. We don't vote based on our districts. I mean, we refer things based on a district. When we talk about something, Mississippi Power Company, we don't say where the line drawn. These aren't my constituents. These are everybody's constituents. So we serve the whole state of Mississippi, and he sees that. And we adopt a program. He's not saying, I want North Mississippi to have this program. I want North Mississippi to have natural gas. I want the citizens of the state of Mississippi to have natural gas. So thank you for that, and you're a visionary, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the three of you guys are able to do in the next 4 years. I know you're going to do great things, and I'm going to be watching and commenting on Twitter.
There you go.
Twitter.
Imagine that. Imagine that. Thank you. Yeah. Y'all are, you're too kind. I'm looking forward to handing that gavel over next month to somebody else, let them deal with that. But I appreciate those comments, Commissioner Brown, and I appreciate y'all very much for everything. Commissioner Britton is going to get us out of here. He's been wanting to grab that gavel since we got up here this morning, and so he's got it. We've made sure it's screwed on real good. Two things before we close. We want to adjourn today in memory of two exemplary officials that have passed away in the last couple of months. First being House Speaker Billy McCoy from Ryenzie. One quick story about Billy McCoy and how he helped us save $7 billion. When the when the Baseload Act was proposed in 2008, that language was written in the same model that was adopted in Georgia and South Carolina that has had a ton of problems related to that. And essentially, to not get into too much of the legalese of it, essentially it said that if the commission adopts a project and they give a green light for the CPC in, then immediately you must allow construction work in progress. It did not have a provision in there that gave that as a commission option. It was a mandate that if you approved any project that fell within the guidelines of the Baseload Act, you must automatically approve construction work in progress. I was new, green as a gourd, and I went to see Speaker McCoy and said, I just don't know, Mr. Speaker. This seems like it ties the hands of the commission, and what if something goes wrong? And we need a clawback provision in which to do that. If we vote for the project, we're automatically adopting completely this idea that customers' bills are going to automatically go up to pay for something they're not getting anything out of, which is wrong. And the speaker said, "Are you sure that's in there?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Fine." And that bill was amended in the House because of Billy McCoy, to be clear, because of Billy McCoy, to give that as a commission tool. Which means untold billions of dollars did not go out the window related to the Kemper County Power Plant, and that would not have happened without Billy McCoy. And so that's a tidbit of history, but it's pertinent to what we do here. Second is Commissioner Nielsen Cochran, who served on this commission almost 30 years, did a wonderful job during a big period of transition in the 90s, and as this industry changed. Of course, everyone knows the Cochran family's dedication from Senator Cochran also and what they did. And so I'd like today for us to adjourn in memory of these two individuals and ask the staff to create appropriate resolutions that we can give to the families of Speaker McCoy and Commissioner Cochran on behalf of the commission. So with that, get us out of here, Commissioner Britton.
The gavel. After 4 years, I got the gavel for 10 seconds. But anyway, and that's the reason. Also, too, I want to also one quick call out is, of course, Brent back there will be taking office this next month, and also Dane Maxwell. And Dane Maxwell has already been up here hard at work. He's already been up here meeting with me and the staff and others. And whenever I look at our replacement, Cecil, I think we're going to have the commission being left in very good hands. So Dane and Brent, certainly wish you the absolute best with everything. And with those comments of wrapping up, that's why people give time limits on politicians.
That's right. That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, and it is with great enthusiasm that I bring this session of the Public Service Commission meeting to a close.
There we go.